Okay, I'm Tammy.
I'm Troy.
And we are 36 weeks pregnant with a little IVF girl.
Technically she's pregnant. I'm not pregnant, but we're having a baby and we're super amped about it. Our journey to Utah Fertility Center was definitely an unexpected one, I think, definitely. We got married and we were kind of like, okay, hey, you always have the conversation of like, hey, when do you want to have kids and how many kids should we have and like what should our family be like and stuff like that. And so our goal was kind of like, okay, well, we'll like wait a year and then we'll have a kid. And then we'll like wait 18 months and then we'll have another kid and we'll just kind of, you know, have our perfect little family and everything will go really smoothly. And then we found out that's not exactly how things always happen. Around the year mark of us getting married, we decided to start to try to have kids, and about 4 months in, Tammy started getting a little nervous and was like, I think this is gonna take a long time. I was like, no, it's been 4 months, like this is normal. And then 6 months in, we were kind of like, okay. And then a year in, we were just like, well, this is getting a little bit weird. And so, was it at a year or when was it when we like started like running tests and doing things? It was
right at the year mark that we went into ROB, and she did some very basic tests. She tested my thyroid, she tested just a couple of other things, and she said that's pretty much all we can do. And I had talked to my sister. My sister had done very minimal fertility treatments as well to be able to have babies. So she said that I should really go and see a fertility specialist because they know what they're doing and they are professionals at what they do, and it will be a lot better. We actually found a seminar that the Utah Fertility Center was doing, and we went and attended that. And
good job on the seminar, Dr. Conway.
We felt really good about going and just getting some more answers at the fertility center. And so we made an appointment with Dr. Gurchev, and we just kind of talked through some things, and it was really interesting because she took our whole history, and it just in our first meeting was so much more thorough than anything I could have done with my OB. And it gave us a lot of peace that she knew she had a plan and she knew what to do.
Yeah.
And what was really cool was that we realized that the first few treatments that we needed to do, they weren't going to be insanely expensive. They're actually really affordable. And for a lot of people, the first treatments, they work and they don't have to do anything more. We had several friends that they were successful with just Clomid or with IUIs, and so we were feeling pretty hopeful about that.
Yeah, it's just there's so much science that goes into it that I don't think a lot of people really understand that. And so I think that's maybe where one of the stigmas of like infertility comes from, is like there's just so much that people don't understand. And so what Tammy was saying about like coming in and talking to Dr. Gurchev and listening to the seminar from Dr. Conway, it brought us a lot of hope, because it's like, well, these people are like scientists of this, and they know what they're doing, and it's like, okay, there are things that we can do to hopefully, you know, be able to start a family and stuff.
And the cool thing about doing fertility treatments at the fertility center was that we kind of looked at it as every step that we do, if it is not successful, it's going to give us more answers. And the doctors were great about going through everything that we did and what it meant and how it affected our fertility and what that meant for us being able to have a baby. And so we really tried to look at every step that way, because it can start getting a little bit depressing when things don't work, but we were able to start checking off things. You know, we did 3 rounds of just straight Clomid, and that didn't work. So then we did 2 rounds of Clomid with an IUI. And unfortunately that did not work for us either, but we were able to see that I was ovulating, that it gave us answers of some other things that could be the problem. And so we tried to just be really optimistic that way, that each thing that we tried was one step closer. So after we did 2 IUIs, we decided we could have gone and done another IUI, but we had heard that after the third time of doing an IUI, if it does not work, that your chances go down of it working. And so we decided that we were going to go and do this sure bet and do IVF, and we were sure it's going to work. Because IVF, it's, how could it not work? I was ovulating, you know, and so it would be successful for us. So we were sure the IVF was going to work, and we were just planning on it, that we were going to have twins because we were transferring 2 embryos. And we did a whole fresh cycle, and then we froze them all. And a month later we came in to transfer our 2 embryos, and we were sure it's going to work, and we found out 10 days later that it did not work. And that was really depressing and really hard, and probably the saddest point of our journey, because we were so sure that it was going to work. And I think that we started to feel, and I especially started to feel, this crippling fear that if IVF didn't work on me one time, why would it ever work? That made me terrified to do any more treatments, because I was terrified of more negative results.
It's just really like it's tough to go through it, and it's okay to acknowledge that it's tough.
With all the emotions of infertility, that's what I had to realize, because it is very, very lonely, and there are very few people who understand what it really feels like. And it's hard when you're surrounded by family members, because they want to try to say things to help you feel better, but they don't really know what to say to you, and that is really hard for them and for you. And so emotionally, I was just kind of checked out after our first IVF cycle, because I just needed to recover. And you have all these feelings of, okay, I want to go to this baby shower because I am happy for this person, but it makes me cry being at this baby shower because I'm just sad for us. And you just have to deal with all of that, and I couldn't deal with that and keep doing fertility treatments. And what was awesome is that everyone at the fertility center said, okay, when you're ready, just tell us. You can take a break, and when you're ready to try something new and do this again, you can come back. I thought it was going to be a really long time, but then actually Dr. Gerchev called me herself, which was it meant so much to me, because she has so many patients and she's so busy. But she called me and said, you know, we have this study going on, and I really think it would be beneficial for you, and I really think that this would help you. And the fact that she took the time to call me, it just made me think, okay, yeah, maybe I am ready to try this again and give this another go. And so that was a couple months later, and we decided that we were going to try and do a second round of in vitro. And we were trying to just be as positive as we could, even though I had all these crippling fears, just these, you know, the days leading up to the transfer of the previous experience, and saying, is this really gonna work? Why are we even doing this if it's not gonna work? But trying to remain as positive as we could. We took a pregnancy test like 1 or 2 days before we did our blood work, and there was a line. It was definitely the most positive we had ever seen. And we were so excited, but still very cautious. I think the infertility, for me at least, it made me nervous, and I've been nervous throughout the whole pregnancy, and I think that that's a normal thing to feel, because of everything that you go through to get there, and you don't want to get your hopes up. She
says we took 1 pregnancy test, we ended up taking like 4, like and progressively they each got darker, right? And so we were feeling pretty good. We were like, it was crazy to see like an actual line on the pregnancy test and be like, well, these things work. This is amazing. Like,
this is what's supposed to happen?
Like, really? A second line actually shows up on this thing? That in and of itself was nuts, because it was like, okay, this is like legitimately pregnant. Amazing. It's just like, holy crap, this finally worked. Like, it really does work, right?
Crying and
yeah, so just really happy,
running around that kitchen.
Yeah. So when we came here, and we actually, like, she had grown into a little baby, and she was all moving around, and we could see that on the ultrasound and everything like that. I think that's when it finally sank in, like, oh my gosh, this legitimately worked.
It's true. I didn't really believe it until then. I just was sure that something bad was going to happen because you go through so much with all the infertility process that I was just waiting to get some bad news. But at that 10-week ultrasound, when you graduate from the fertility center, and we just saw her, you could see them already moving their little limbs, and I just sat there crying, and I just said to the doctor, I said, how do I even thank you for giving us this gift that we have wanted for 4 years? How do you ever adequately thank somebody for that? And that was a really cool moment, because I just kind of let ourselves say, okay, I think this is really happening. I think this is real. I just want to know what she looks like. Did you feel like that?
She's pretty freaking cute already.
Yeah.